Hey guys, it's me, Jeffrey again, and today this video is really going to be about really the theorization of really a fourth mother box in the being in the being in the Snyders. Now, now for those and really what really came to that is actually very interesting. So really how this whole thing started was really today, where Ray Porter was where someone added Ray Porter for like a little bit of banter and all that, and and then Ray Porter, who plays as Darksied, actually replied to him with something very interesting. With and I quote, "Clark has 4 mother boxes. He gives one to Lois." So what does that mean? Well, obviously it means that it's going to be that there are 4 mother boxes, but now the question is for the Snyderverse really, what is that 4th mother box? And I think that 4th mother box is might actually be the Codex. Now, why do I say that? Well, if you think about it like this, the first time we see the Man of Steel Codex is it's really glowing to really show this like very historic artifact. Like it glows yellow and then disappears. There's ancient Kryptonian writing and really all that. So, pay attention to that word history real quick, because what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be going back to that one real soon. So, how could the Codex really be? How could the Codex be a kind of really like really be a mother box, even though a mother box is quote done for? Well, if you think about it like this, a mother box's powers is really kind of similar to really what you were to say about really kind of like what the Codex does. The Codex is really something that helps, that really does, it really does kind of sense life, creates life in the sense, kind of like the Codex, where it's like a whole bunch of life forms in a single skull, but now in this sense a Kryptonian body. So really, if you think about it like this, the Codex in a way is really much like is really pretty much very similar to the Codex. And really what I found interesting was kind of this little image I found here, where someone says the skull belonged to the ancient original race, and was the skull belonged to the ancient original race of Kryptonians before the era of cloning. This skull probably belonged to Burton, Doomsday's creator. Zack Snyder confirmed that Doomsday does exist and is somewhere in the universe. Now, what makes it very interesting about that is first, like, let's break this whole tweet, this whole image down real quick to really help you explain. The skull belonged to the ancient original Kryptonian race before the era of cloning. Now, I don't know if you can see his face, but this is Doomsday's creator in the comics, and this is the Codex and what it looks like. So, once again, the Doomsday's creator by the original Kryptonian race, and the Codex. So, right there, right off the bat, they do look very, very, very scarily similar. So, and then we go into the history lesson where pretty much all of the universe is involved in the fight against Doomsday, Darksied, and is really against the fight against Darksied and Steppenwolf. And in the history lesson, it is 20 minutes long. It is originally 20 minutes long, and we do know that in a way we do know that the Green Lanterns were there, the Atlanteans were there, the armies of man were there, the Atlanteans and the Amazons. So that's pretty much everyone on there except for the Kryptonians. Now, I say the original history lesson is 20 minutes long. That opens the mind to really say that maybe since the Green Lanterns were involved in the history lesson, that there is actually a very big chance that the Kryptonians were part of the history lesson, and in the sense of that. And it would make sense because really if it was before the age of cloning, that the original Kryptonians would look a lot different from what we know of them to be. So then what I believe here is, so then we go into really this part here. This skull probably belonged to Beratron, Doomsday's creator. Now, that's the interesting part, because we do know that the original Doomsday is still out there. We know this because Zack has said this multiple times. First time being at really explaining the reason why he brought Doomsday in, and saying that he wanted to give him a mythology, like he wanted to give Doomsday a mythology. Then you have Zack in 2020 saying that Doomsday destroyed the moon in the Krypton scene, so that really tells me that Doomsday was was really born a long time ago. And so with that, it also makes sense to say that that really does add a lot more weight to it, to the Codex being part of Beertron's body, because we don't know how far Kryptonian technology goes. Because we do know that that Kryptonian technology can actually help you. He can actually help you see what's going on, and we don't actually see what happened pre. We don't know what, like, with them having the technology to clone Kryptonians, that really does open the mind to say that they do have a way to have the mother box when they defeat Steppenwolf and Darksied for the first time. Like, that really does open the mind to say that when they're dividing the mother boxes, like from the mother box of man, the mother box of the Atlanteans, the mother box of the Amazons, then you have like this possibly. Then you have the fourth mother box that still needs to get out there. Now, what if in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Beertron, Doomsday's creator, actually tries to actually has the mother box of the Kryptonians, and what he does, he engraves the mother box into his own skull. That winds up killing him. Now, now that sounds a little bit crazy, but really, this is what my channel is really all about: theorizing and seeing how far the rabbit hole goes. So, so then with that aspect in there, it does make sense to say that the Kryptonians have the fourth mother box, because Zack has been pushing the Codex for a long time. He has been pushing, like, he didn't say anything, he hasn't said anything about the Codex and the BBS marketing. He hasn't said, but then as soon as Zack Snyder's Justice League comes around, the Codex is somehow all important, all important. Now, why is it? Now, the possibility is, why is it all important? Well, the reason why it could possibly be all important is because not only does it explain the origin of the Kryptonians, but it might also be that fourth mother box that is hidden. Because the best place to hide something is within yourself. And so with that also makes sense. So then we go into really the part two of this, and really something that really definitely confirms this theory for me. Like this next bit, Zack has Zack has confirmed that Doomsday does exist somewhere in the universe. Now, this is something that is really, really interesting to me, because we do know this, that Doomsday did die, or Lex's Doomsday did die, but at the same time, we do know that the original Doomsday does still exist, and we do know that Zack did want to give Doomsday a mythology. Now, the question is, what would that mythology be? because we do know that for Superman, he grows is stronger every time he's in the sun. While for Darkseid, we do know that he's a equal threat to Superman and the entire League. Now, the question is really, what does that mean for Doomsday and his mythology? Well, if you were to read the prequel comic of Zack Snyder and really his whole prequel comics of the whole Snyderverse, you were to find out, if you actually read it, that in the prequel comic that Doomsday was originally Kryptonian. And we do, and yes, I'm not pulling your strings here. If you actually do read the prequel comic to the Snyderverse, that Zack's Doomsday was actually a Kryptonian, and not really like a deformed Kryptonian. No, like a straight up human Kryptonian, kind of like Superman. So then, what that leads to is the question of really what happens in the prequel comic is this. Doomsday is with Supergirl. So what happened and they're on a ship in outer space, and it does take place 18,000 more than 20,000 years ago. And what happens is the ship does crash, and then that's how the comic ends. Except not exactly, because at the end of when the ship crashes, the final panel is a picture of something that has a very similar silhouette to Doomsday or Darkseid. Now, what I believe what happened is this: the Doomsday did survive that crash, which means possibly Supergirl possibly survived that crash. So I think what happens after is Doomsday is severely damaged, but at the same time, since Doomsday evolves after every fight and every hit he takes, I think this is what happens throughout the past 20,000 years. Doomsday is Doom, and we saw this in Batman vs Superman. Lex's Doomsday evolved as he fought. He got stronger as he fought the Trinity. So what that possibly means is really that the same thing could have happened to really what happened to Doomsday when he was human. He got hurt, but at the same time, that was the beginning of the evolution process. So then you go into you really go into this whole thing that maybe Beertron, Doomsday's creator, was probably very regretful about what his creation has become, and he really and really kind of and really at when Darkseid retreats. Oh, this is what I forgot to mention. I'm all over the place. So what happens is throughout those 20,000 years after that Kryptonian crash, I believe that Doomsday evolved into what you would come to know as Darksied. I think that is really I think that is really what happens to Darkseid, the original Darkseid, and what happens after that is just kind of crazy because it also opens the mind of the history lesson because it also would make sense for the Codex to really be a part because after the history lesson battle, like the Beertron could have seen his creation, regretted what happened, and when they were collecting the mother boxes to divide them, I think he did that. I think he sacrificed himself to put the mother box into his own skull to actually kind of fill the void of the bad that he did with some good in his life. So kind of like a Dr. Frankenstein versus Frankenstein's monster kind of deal. So then you go into the Codex now, because we do know this, that really the Codex can be transferred to a life form, even though without killing. So then the question becomes really like, what would have happened what would have happened, how would it have transferred to really do, how would it have transferred to Lois? Well, kind of maybe that bathroom scene, but in BBS, but really that's just kind of me just kind of theorizing on that little thing. There's really no evidence on that part. But yeah, like really I think that the story of the Kryptonians and the history of the Snyderverse is really just the beginning. So really, I think the mother box as a whole is the. So really, this video is really kind of like a kind of a two-part kind of thing, where really it's kind of where one, the Codex is really the fourth mother box, and Lois has it possibly inside her, and really that also Doomsday is a Kryptonian, and it possibly evolved to become Darkseid with every battle he fought. So yeah, that's the video, guys. And I know this one has been a long one, but yeah, but yeah. Hope this video kind of makes sense to you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.